What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have made it. We are on episode number 4 for season 1 of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And this episode brings us right back to where we were 2 episodes prior. This episode is definitely filled with wokeness. It has to do with pushing the whole gay agenda. And of course, they're trying to make it seem like Oscar is a super bigot for believing what he believes. And they try to make him feel terrible for it. This whole episode is based around that. So we're going to get into it, guys. But of course, before we do, I'm only going to ask you for 2 things. Consider giving this video a like to help it push out to the YouTube algorithm, and not only that, help give me a long view duration on this video, because by doing so you help me fight the YouTube algorithm, which we fight every single day considering the content that we put out. With that being said, guys, let's get into the review for episode number 4 for the Proud Family. So this episode starts out with Oscar and Felix. Oscar ends up telling Felix he has a surprise for him, and then when he brings him to his garage, he showcases that he actually wants to purchase a factory that's going to allow him to open up his own kind of like amusement park, snack land kind of a thing. Because if you guys remember from the previous episodes, he's starting to make Proud Snacks, which is his company, and he wants to expand it into an actual like theme park kind of style. So Felix ends up trying to sneak out because this is not what he thought was going to be his surprise. Oscar ends up closing him into the garage, and then they have a little bit of a scuffle. Check this out.
What does snack land have to do with me, Oscar? I know I don't look like it, but I don't like snacks.
Banks don't give money to someone who got a minus 300 credit score.
So they admit that Oscar has a minus 300 credit score, which I think is some real stereotypical stuff, considering he is a black male, but that's besides the point. They're throwing that in there, and they want to make it seem as if credit score doesn't matter. You can always just get a friend to co-sign instead of being financially responsible. But again, it's a kid's show. Kids are not going to care about stuff like that. Only adults are going to pick up on that. Felix ends up trying to escape, and he ends up digging a hole inside of Oscar's garage, which again, Felix being a Hispanic male trying to dig a hole so he can get past the wall, I thought was pretty hilarious and kind of, you know, typical tropes or racial stereotypes as they would call it. So then the intro rolls, and then we end up seeing Wizard Kelly on the screen in a lip syncing competition where La Cienega has actually submitted her own song to try to win a bunch of concert tickets to go see Pink Eye, which is some sort of artist that's in the show itself, which again, the names are just ridiculous. So La Cienega ends up going on screen, and this happens. So La Cienega actually filmed this with them, but she removed all of them and only wanted to be about her, of course, even putting her face on the face of one of her friends playing the flute. Check this out.
You put your head on my body?
So La Cienega obviously wants everything to be about herself, and they are going to start voting now. It's La Cienega versus Wizard Jr., who is obviously the son of Mr. Wizard Kelly, who is on the television screen right now. The girls don't want to vote for La Cienega at all because she removed them from the music video, but then eventually end up saying they're going to do it because they want to get those concert tickets. Then they start voting, and then after they start voting, we go back to Felix in his house, who is obviously very wealthy, considering his house, who all the kids are over right now, and then Oscar ends up digging a hole also to get into Felix's house and says that Felix is not the only one who can dig a hole. Felix does not want to help him co-sign for this business, and Oscar begs him over and over and over again. And then Felix out of nowhere starts complaining about something, and then Oscar realizes that he's talking about his wife. Check it out.
Your wife getting a promotion to detective, getting a new partner, Barry, who's good looking. Yeah, good looking Barry, and a promotion.
Whoa.
So Felix obviously thinks that Sunset, his wife, is cheating on him and cheating on him with her new partner because they're both police officers. She ends up coming down, and Oscar even drops his jaw at her because he hasn't seen her in a while because she's changed dramatically. Check it out.
And I are working undercover tonight.
You ain't going undercover until you cover some of that up.
Come on, Felix.
So his wife ends up going to the door to let her partner in, and then when her partner comes in, obviously it is Barry, who is the father of Maya and her brother. That's kind of like the plot twist here. They're very, very flirty, of course, and it looks like they are having a thing. Oscar ends up being all for it. Check this out.
Oscar Proud. Put her there, big guy. Nice to meet you.
Ow! Nice meeting you too.
Then the countdown starts happening, and they get towards the end, and the winner of the vote-off is obviously not going to be La Cienega. She gets completely destroyed. She only gets about 7,000 votes or 17,000 votes, something like that. Whereas Wizard Jr. gets 2.3 million votes. So obviously she gets killed. Barry ends up coming in and says that he can actually get to the concert because he's going to be going there to be security for Pink Eye, and that's his undercover gig right now. So he agrees to take them, even though Felix says that he doesn't want his daughter to go. Barry ends up overstepping him and taking her anyway. He ends up screaming and says she's not allowed to go. Obviously they don't listen, and they close the door right in his face. And then we have Pink Eye. playing on the screen. Pink Eye obviously is just, they're making fun of terrible names that these young artists have. They actually showcased Little Toddler from the last episode as well. So again, all these artists seem to be white, which is interesting, but check this out. So as Pink Eye is playing, we see a man approach Maya and her brother, and when the man approaches, this happened.
Ooh, Maya, introduce me to your friend.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is me and Maya's dad.
How y'all doing?
So Dejanay is obviously very confused, not understanding how that's their father when she was just introduced to Barry beforehand. The white father starts asking a bunch of questions. Nobody seems to understand what's going on except for Penny. And Dejanay eventually catches on to it, even though she catches on to it way too slowly. Check it out.
Randall, honey, just call me Randall.
Sorry, Randy, but I thought Barry over there was the dad. Dejanay. What? I just want to know who's who.
So rightfully so, she ends up being very confused. And this is a pretty funny moment because I think a lot of people would act like this most likely. But she ends up being very confused. She doesn't understand how he's the father when Barry said he was the father. They have no clue. She's literally just clueless in this scenario, only to come to find out that the reason why is because they are gay. They are both together. They're both husband and husband. And that's what Penny was trying to allude to. Eventually, Dejanay does catch on to it. And she just not freaks out, but she just kind of is shocked. Check it out. So Maya ends up getting pissed because she obviously feels some sort of way about having two dads, and it's something that she's got to deal with. And Barry is not, a super flaming, flamboyant gay man like the husband is. Obviously, the other man is, but he is not, which is why she was so confused. And then Penny ends up telling Dejanay, do not post anything on social media about it. Do not expose them about it. Try to keep it quiet because it's trying to be respectful. Of course, Dejanay is not going to do it because she's ratchet as hell. Check this out.
It's a big deal. No, it's kind of weird.
So they end up going trending. Everybody in the school finds out that they have two dads, and now the kids feel very, very uncomfortable. So they're trying to stigmatize being gay, or at least a reaction to people being gay. I don't really think it's like that anymore. Nobody really gives a crap. But again, it's something that they're trying to stigmatize so that they make themselves feel as if they're trying to be arbiters of justice over here and push the fact that, oh, no, it's perfectly fine to have two dads. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly normal. And they want to preach and talk about acceptance towards the end of the episode. So the kids end up being very mean to to Maya and her brother about having two dads, even going so far as to get bullied. Kids don't realize how fast everything got out, but they want nothing to do with Maya or her brother anymore since they have two dads. It's weird. Check it out.
Wow, I really feel bad for them. I don't. When I first moved here, you guys treated me like dirt.
So Cienega ends up having a flashback about how they initially treated her, and she wants to have justice and do it again to Maya and her brother. Penny ends up confronting Dejanay, who obviously admits that she was the one who spread it out. She doesn't admit it initially, but she ends up admitting it eventually. Then she tries to say that we need to go hang out with them, we need to go sit with them and show them that there are people that don't care about this, and nobody wants to support her except for Michael, obviously, who is also gay. But then when this happens when they sit down, check it out.
Wait, what did we say? We were just joking.
First of all, you shouldn't be just joking about things you don't know of. Maya's kind of sensitive. You were talking about kids not having fathers or mothers, and we're both adopted.
So not only do they both have two gay dads, but they're also both adopted. So that's another thing that's going on with this. And Penny ends up getting frustrated and just flattens her head in her food. Oscar ends up having an argument with Trudy. Check it out.
I don't want you hanging out with those kids that moved into Sticky's old house.
Why?
Yes, Oscar. Why?
So Oscar obviously doesn't want Penny hanging out with him anymore because he figured out that they have two fathers, and he's not down with that. Nobody else in the family agrees with him. Trudy doesn't, Sugar Mama doesn't, and obviously Penny doesn't. Then Oscar ends up getting ready to go to the bank to try to get a loan in order to buy his business, and then this happens.
Now, of course, she's never gonna have kids because she's never gonna date.
You just dumb, son.
Now, when he gets to the bank, he ends up realizing that the person who's going to help him with the loan is none other than the gay husband, who we just previously saw. Now, Oscar at this point in time doesn't even realize that this is the same person, except, again, another racial trope. When Oscar walks in and realizes that it's a black man who is in charge of the loan, he ends up trying to become one with his blackness, let's just say, and goes into a complete tribal outfit. This is so stupid. Honestly, this is a racial trope. I don't know why they do something like this. But again, I guess that they're just trying to say, you know, stick with each other kind of a thing. And they do say that further as you go along with the banker. The banker ends up telling Oscar the same exact thing. But as we move forward, Oscar introduces himself, and then he starts to realize that banker's going through his credit score. And then before he even speaks to tell him that it's something simple, Oscar ends up saying a whole bunch of things about why his credit's bad. He tries to make up excuses. Check it out.
I was looking over your application and I noticed that we have.
Okay. I know. Now I might have padded up the income a little. And,
He ends up panicking like crazy, of course, because people with bad credit score usually do come up with excuses. And then as you go along, all of a sudden what happens is that he actually wasn't going to mention anything bad about his credit score at all, because at this point, the banker's already made up his mind. He sees another black person trying to get a loan. He's going to auto-approve them because that happens in real life. Clearly that happens. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic, but still, like, this is something that they're trying to instill on people that, oh, you know, as long as it's someone of the same race, you should just help them out, even though if they might not qualify, even if they might be detrimental to the business, help them out anyway, because brothers have to stick together. That's basically the mindset that they have with this particular episode. But then he ends up just saying that he lives pretty close to Oscar, and Oscar asks him where he lives, and then that's when he reveals that he moved into Stinky's previous house, which Oscar then puts two and two together and realizes that these are the two gay dads that Penny was telling him about at his house. Check it out.
my brother.
Brothers have to stick together. Go. We got the power. So, sign right here, and we'll have that check for you.
So he ends up getting approved for the loan, and then all of a sudden Barry shows up. And then when Barry shows up, that's when he starts to realize that this is really a thing. They're not like joking. They're not playing around. They even kiss right in front of Oscar, of course, because they need to show this. And Oscar just basically loses his mind. Check it out.
You okay, Oscar?
They really make this more dramatic than it actually is in real life. Nobody gives a shit that, you know, two gay men kiss. Like, it's like, come on, like, what are you really trying to do here? But of course, they're trying to make it seem like Oscar is a bigot. Oscar represents bigots. That's what they want him to represent in this show. And they're trying to destroy the bigot by making this all happen in front of him. This is just another thing that they're doing with this particular TV series. Now, when this happens, obviously the two men realize that Oscar has a problem with them kissing and then decides to revoke the approval that he was just initially giving away, basically. He revokes it all because Oscar didn't approve of their kiss. And then we fast forward and we have Maya and one of the Gross sisters having an altercation where Penny decides to want to try to save Maya from the altercation, and the other kids are not having it. And Penny ends up having this big old speech about how we have to stick up for people, which Dejanay ends up calling her an AOC, which is pretty funny. Check it out.
To blaze a new path, to show our parents the future. Mess with the Gross sisters and you'll have no future. Oh, thanks for the support, guys.
So they end up going to confront the Gross sisters together because they end up feeling guilty about not supporting Penny. And then this happens.
Word on the street is your daddy ain't get that loan.
Dejanay, really? I've been had.
Man, you better get out of my way, Proud.
No.
So Dejanay's been obviously snitching on Penny, which is funny because they tried to talk about snitches get stitches, and they don't want to snitch on anybody. The cops end up showing up, and it's actually Barry. And when Barry shows up, everybody pretends like it's fine, nothing's wrong. And then one of the Gross sisters asks why didn't they snitch, and they said snitches get stitches. So they're trying to encourage this kind of behavior of protecting other bad behavior. This is what they want you to do. Maya's brother ends up trying to run away from the Gross sister that has a crush on him. Check it out. I don't blame him for running away. And then we fast forward, and Maya still obviously has a problem with the Gross sisters, but everything's good. And she thanks them for sticking up for her, even though they really didn't want to do it. It was Penny who did it, and Penny obviously feels great for doing so. Then they all end up going over for dinner because obviously Trudy and Sugar Mama force Oscar to go over for dinner to the two gay men's house. And when they do, Oscar ends up finding out that he actually got approved for the loan because the man submitted the loan immediately after Oscar left. This boy who originally was uncomfortable with the two dads now is trying to get rid of his toxic masculinity and is trying to be okay with the two dads. Check this out.
I say I'm sorry. For what? I'll tell you after I finish the second helping of gumbo.
Now, Oscar's eyes are still broken, as you can see, because he just is not liking what he is seeing. And then Felix and his wife show up, and Oscar ends up saying that he's sorry, that he should do better, be better, and they end up making up at the end. After all of this, there's this one major happy dance scene showcasing the 2 gay parents. Even the kids end up making up, and Oscar gets all emotional because he sees one big happy family all dancing together, which obviously doesn't happen in real life, but still, they're all dancing together, and Penny says that I've learned good things from you and you should be proud of me, and then Oscar says, I'm glad you didn't learn the dumb stuff from me. And that's basically how the episode ends. It ends with a dance-off, and then Oscar ends up taking his family to the new plant that he bought with his money from the bank, and the plant is completely disgusting, radioactive, destroyed, and they want nothing to do with it, and they leave him alone, hanging it in dry at the plant. So again, guys, this particular episode had to do a lot with the LGBTQ stuff. Honestly, it feels a little forced, and they tried to make it seem like a bigger deal than it actually is. Nobody truthfully cares about the fact that there was 2 gay parents, but of course they want to pretend like people care because that particular character, Oscar, had to represent the bigots in the episode. That's who they had to represent. So as a bigot myself, I'm going to have to give this episode for the Proud Family, episode number 4, a solid 4 out of 10. I thought the episode was overall good. It had its funny moments. Honestly, I thought there was some funny moments in there, but the fact that they try to villainize people who have other values outside of being perfectly fine with being gay. Listen, there's people that don't want to be down with that stuff. They should be allowed to not have to be forced to be down with that stuff. And the fact that people try to force their ideology on them while also trying to say, oh, you're forcing your ideology on me. It's like people should just learn to let live. And that's the issue a lot with life right now. So anyway, guys, that's it for the Proud Family episode number 4. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.